welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as ours, but hey, it's something. Okay, so we're not gonna be getting. Of course, there's this big thing that's going on right now, but we're not gonna be talking about that because, as you can see from the title of this video, we're not gonna be talking about anything important. We're gonna be talking about something very less important. But I decided, give us a little bit of levity and talk about something stupid. But out of the way, let's get right into the news. First, we're going to cover a statement that Joe Biden said in a pitch to Wisconsin voters.
Talk to the voters that are worried about socialism and you raising taxes.
First of all, I guarantee, I promise, I've never broken my word. Anyone making less than $400,000 will not see one single penny in their tax raised. Number two, I beat the socialists. That's how I got elected. That's how I got the nomination. Do I look like a socialist? Look at my career, my whole career. I am not a socialist.
The voters are so worried about socialism. So worried about socialism that literally every single one of the socialist policies of Bernie Sanders are incredibly popular. 70% of the American people want Medicare for all. The biggest issue. Seriously, that should just be the end. 70% of the American people want Medicare for all, and this isn't even just Democrats. Like I said, 70% of the American people, which is all of the voting ranks, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. 70% of them want Medicare for all because they understand Medicare for all works and is preferable. They want it. And yet Joe Biden chooses, no, I'm not going to do it. Which is completely dumb. Seriously, this is just completely stupid. Why would you not support Medicare for all? 70% of the American people support Medicare for all. This would be a done deal for you. Done deal. You support Medicare for all, you get their support. The end. Especially considering that number raises is your party. 80% of your party supports Medicare for all. Your voters support Medicare for all. Literally, there were voters at exit polls of the election, and they were like, yeah, I like Joe Biden, he supports Medicare for all, and then, wait, what do you mean he supports Medicare for all? Joe Biden supports Medicare for all. No, he doesn't. He doesn't? No, he doesn't. He doesn't support Medicare for all. I don't know why you voted for him. Pretty much everyone else in the race did. I don't know why you voted for Joe. He was the safe bet, and I assume the safe bet would be someone who, agreed with it. No, he doesn't support Medicare for all. No. Which is why I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Joe. I rallied against Joe. And Joe flat out admitted he doesn't want my vote. He didn't want my vote, so he didn't get it. I beat the socialist. I'm not a socialist. Look at my record. Yeah. Your record shows I can't trust you with the presidency. I don't like you. I don't want to support you. I'm never going to support you. The end. I have no shame. I don't you. There's literally no scenario where I would have changed. Literally, there was no issue. There's no reasonable explanation on anything would have changed. There's literally no scenario where my vote would have made a difference between Trump and Biden. If Biden literally loses by one vote, my vote would have just tied it. The only scenario where it would have technically, maybe, sort of, hypothetically, is if they literally have the exact same votes, which is 100% unlikely to happen. Just, it's unlikely to happen. Ergo, there's no reason to feel bad about it. Now moving on to a smaller election. A competitive congressional election delayed after the death of a third-party candidate. The death of a third-party candidate running against freshman Democrat Representative Angie Craig has triggered the postponement of this year's vote and scheduled a special election next year in her Twin Cities district area. The Minnesota Secretary of State's office confirmed Thursday the death of Adam Weeks, a farmer running into the Legal Marijuana Now party, and that the seat would become vacant at the start of the next term. State law requires that November election be delayed and a special election be held on the second Tuesday of February if a major party nominee dies within 79 days of election day. Early voting began in Minnesota last week. The Legal Marijuana Now party is considered a major party under the Minnesota law after its nominee received 5.3% of the vote in its 2018 race for state auditor. I want to offer condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Weeks. The loss of any of this is a tragedy, and that's felt especially in someone who had put energy into a campaign to serve public office, Secretary of State Steve Simon said in a statement. This law is clear on what happens next. Like I said, this election is going to be delayed. The reason why they are doing it this way is because, if you don't remember, not that long ago, Minnesota had a similar situation happen. And by not that long ago, I mean 18 years ago. When Paul Wellstone died in the middle of an election, they were confused and they didn't know what to do. So they had to scramble at the last second to figure out what to do. But now, since they had that happen, they refined their electoral laws and seem to try and do a solution that kind of makes things better. I don't know if this exactly makes it better, but it's probably the best situation you can get out of the situation that's given. And like I said, this is a competitive seat because this seat used to be a Republican-held seat. Now it's a Democrat-held seat. And, there's potential of flipping again. So, we'll see what happens next year. I doubt that this seat will be the make or break of the House. It'd be funny if it was. Okay, the next story comes from Maine. Maine to use ranked choice voting in presidential race. Ranked choice voting will be used for the first time in a presidential race under a ruling Tuesday by the Maine Supreme Court, which concluded the GOP petition drive came up short. The Supreme Court concluded that Maine Republican Party failed to reach the threshold for signatures needed for a people's veto referendum aimed at rejecting a state law that expands ranked choice voting to the presidential election. The GOP collected tens of thousands of signatures, but came up shy of the needed level. So yeah, the Republican Party was trying its best to try and diminish ranked choice voting from being a thing, but it failed, and now ranked choice voting will be a thing. Hooray! The people of Maine get to rank their presidential candidates now, and they need to do this nationwide because this is the simplest, easiest way to fix the so-called spoiler effect, and the fact that everyone else hasn't done this shows that the spoiler effect either isn't entirely real or is literally just a scapegoat. Maybe we should stop doing scapegoat and actually try to figure solutions to our problems. Okay, so the next story is another story that's not that interesting, but it's kind of interesting, sort of important. Abrams Jewish activists push Lieberman to cede to Warnock in Senate bid. Grassroots activists and high-level Democrats called for Matt Lieberman to abandon his U.S. Senate bid Thursday and clear the way for Ralph Warnock as polls show a tight race in the free-for-all contest. Former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder endorsed Warnock's campaign to challenge Senator Kelly Loeffler, urging those who care about the direction of Georgia and this nation to rally behind his bid. Stacey Abrams, arguably Warnock's most influential advocate, said she was deeply disturbed by Lieberman's novel that critics say was shaped by racist tropes and called him to search his conscience and make way for Warnock. Now, here's the thing. Lieberman got mad and claimed that Stacey Abrams and the state Democratic Party was trying to use race to, make this race divided. Race to make race divided, haha. And people got mad at him for that because it's like, dude, and here's the thing. This is kind of cathartic because here's the thing. Listen, look at it. Matt has no one. Think about it. The Georgia Democratic Party and the National Democratic Party have already decided Warnock is their candidate. Everyone else is running for something else. But Lieberman, he doesn't have a base. And look, I mean, like Richard D. Winfield, who's a candidate I'm endorsing, he's like a progressive, so he has something to run with. Lieberman, you know what he has to run with? His last name, and you want to know what his last name is? His last name is literally the traitor of the Democratic Party. Lieberman has no one. Look, if you look at his endorsements, he has like the backing of no one in his state. Literally, all of his endorsements from out of state, literally from the state he used to call home, Connecticut. He went to Connecticut to fundraise for his Georgia Senate bid. But why didn't you run for Senator of Connecticut? You like Connecticut so much, why don't you marry it? Like, seriously. I don't even like Warnock. Like I said, I like Winfield. But it's funny. Like, it's just funny to see, like, a Lieberman fail. I love seeing political dynasties fall. It's the best thing in the world. Okay, the next story is coming from Mexico. There is for all those who don't know, the incumbent leftist president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he's been facing sort of big opposition. A sort of, like, coup-ish, not coup, but, like, sort of coup, a soft coup, I guess. Like, a bunch of oligarchs and the Mexican rich and, like, pretty much everybody who is opposed to AMLO in Mexico, like, all the conservatives, like, all of the major parties except for, like, Morena, PT, and PVEM are rallying behind and trying to form this, like, big anti-AMLO coalition. And, like, they had, like, a group of people protest in front of, like, the presidential palace. And AMLO circulated a petition pretty much defending him and his, like, platform and all that. And the letter in favor of him now has 34,000 signatures. And it was done in less than 30 hours. This Sunday, the letter for freedom against the privatizers of the world was made public. By night, more than 28,000 citizens had become 34,000 signatories of what they called the social response to the deployment last Thursday, September 17th, by a group of 650 scientists, intellectuals, and academics. The letter that began to circulate last Saturday, September 18th, and until yesterday afternoon, had a list that occupied 752 pages with name, occupation, municipality, and state residents of the 34,000 signatories qualified by the deployment of the 650 intellectuals at the exhortation that supposedly calls for freedom of expression that is, in reality, a call to gag the most legitimate president Mexico has had for many decades. Yeah, and yet people keep claiming that he's like this massive dictator that nobody in Mexico likes. 34,000 signatures in 30 hours. Literally be passing platforms that people love. Now, I mean, am I going to say it's perfect? No, of course not. Very few, if any, public officials are perfect. Am I going to say there are not legitimate criticisms of AMLO? Maybe. I haven't seen them so far, though. Let's just look. Let's just look at this. In general terms, do you approve or disapprove of the job AMLO is doing as president of the republic? As of August 2020, 59%. Literally, he has been doing great. He's been doing good. People like him. He's still well liked. People like him. He's like literally up there now with like Cardenas and Zapata, with like Mexico's top leaders. Like again, he's not perfect. His coronavirus thing, it hasn't been the best. He could do better. Obviously, he's been doing good-ish. Like, you'd give him, like, if you were giving him a grade, if you gave countries grades of, like, coronavirus thingies, it'd be like, New Zealand, you get an A++. Mexico, I'm gonna say C, C-. I like the fact that you are now going to try and get medicine from the UN, and I like the fact that you're now going to keep all your students safe by having them learn from home via a television channel. I like the fact that you've been able to keep the amount of cases overall low, but of the cases, you have an 11.7% fatality rate, so I'm gonna have to dock you a lot of points for that. Again, he can do better, but he can do way, way worse. And I'm gonna say it again, hands off Mexico. Now let's move on to the next story, which is way, way more important. Breonna Taylor. The case has been solved. Police officers, they shot a hole in her wall. He's in jail now. We got it. We solved the case. The biggest issue of the case has finally been solved, and now we can rest easy at night, knowing that police officers can't just shoot our walls. God bless the United States of America. Well, obviously that was satire, and unsurprisingly, the Breonna Taylor's killers were literally not sentenced. And you want to know what happened after this? You see, after this, Louisville, they started having some protests to decry this, and 2 Louisville officers were shot. Yeah, and of course, the Antifa people and the Black Lives Matter thugs are blamed, but not the fucking police officers that literally murdered someone. And conservatives, they're just doing their thing, jerking off the cops and getting the cum in their throats. Like Charlie Kirk, who literally made a video that was literally just like him saying like, Breonna Taylor was she did drugs. Her husband, he sold crack, drugs, and she was a drug woman. She was a criminal, but she wasn't. And Charlie Kirk's tongue must be really muddy after all the comp boots that he had to lick. And the cops are of course getting mad. They're like, I'm so sorry for all the families of you police officers that have been going through all these hard times right now. Like, this huge victim complex. Like, I hate these conservatives I just hate conservatives, period. They're all batshit insane. They're stupid. They suck the dick of, like, the establishment hard. Like, they'll do anything in their power to, like, keep the establishment the way they are, to conserve their power, because that's who they are. Even if they have literally no power, they want to make sure that the rich and powerful stay rich and powerful, because they are just completely insane. I'm normally not one of those people that, like, do the whole thing of, like, oh, insert political ideology here is a mental illness. But seriously, I don't get where the conservatives come from. And here's the thing. They don't care about anything. They don't care if they're hypocrites. They don't care about anything. Like, they always rally like, oh, these lefties, they like have these huge victim complexes, and like they have these huge like they always skew the facts, and they don't pay attention to like logic and facts, and it's like, are you literally the dumbest human being on the planet? Of course you are. You're a conservative. Literally anything on the right, literally nothing about the right wing of our political spectrum, or any political spectrum for that matter, is based on any forms of facts or logic. They believe in magic sky fairies. They have this painted on, like, fake view of what their countries are. They have this, like, completely insane notion that they are oppressed and they are victimized by, like, the evil left. Like, they're like, the left controls the media, the left controls the schools, the left controls this, the left controls this. No! Literally no. You literally have no clue about anything. They, like, fall victim to these big conspiracy theories. And I'm gonna get back to, like, and this is to tie back to all this Breonna Taylor stuff. The biggest conspiracy theory that they have is like this. They think that BLM and, like, Antifa are, like, they are afraid of, like, a new generation of, like, Black Panther Malcolm X's. This is what they're afraid of. I know this for a fact. You can tell, because they paint all black people as thugs, tie them as, like, scary militant groups. Like, I mean, these guys rallied against the Black Panther movie. They were afraid of the next generation, like my generation, of becoming like these super radical Malcolm X types. They're afraid like the next generation of like BLM will be Malcolm X types. But here's the thing. Even though they are afraid of this the most, they are ironically the people who are making it happen. Here's the thing. If Breonna Taylor were, like, imagine all these big, like, things, like, these big African-American, like, murders, literally murders and beatings. What's the OG one that I can think of? Rodney King, I think it is. Rodney King, Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin. I mean, Trayvon Martin, kind of counts, but he was murdered by but just a man. Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. Like, imagine if all of these cases, like, they still happen, unfortunately. These people still die. Even though we probably all would rather live in a world where they did not have to die. But imagine these cases happen, and then immediately afterwards, the police are handled in the actual correct response that you're supposed to do when something like this happens. They're put in jail for the crimes they committed. They're disbarred. The police system is reformed so that they can prevent this from happening again. You know what would happen? The black activism would have just went about its day. It either wouldn't have happened at all, or if it still happens, it would have been lesser. And probably a bit more MLK-esque. But here's the thing. Since they keep happening, and they keep, they keep letting the cops go free, and they keep doing this, the conservatives probably think that that when they do this, they're going to make the black people go, oh, this is why we can't protest, because we're just going to end up just like George Floyd and all these other people, and we should probably go away, and we'll see that inclusion is not working. That's not at all what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that they're going to get more radicalized, they're going to get more angry, and they're going to realize one thing: peace doesn't work. That's what they're going to say. Peace doesn't work. And, like, people have been saying, like, oh, these BLM, I mean, they didn't even think that. The conservatives, they always painted BLM as, like, riots. Even the most peaceful BLM protests were, like, big, evil riots. They painted Martin Luther King Jr. as a rioter. Conservatives, they think, like, the people in power, they think that if they push black people enough, eventually, the black people are gonna stay down and take it. But here's the thing. No, that's not gonna happen. Here's what really happens when you push someone too many times. Eventually, they're gonna push back. And then eventually, they're gonna push harder. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. At some point in the future, I know this for a fact, my generation is 100% going to breed the new Malcolm X. We are going to become the new Malcolm X. I don't know who it will be. And in fact, it doesn't even matter who it will be. All that matters is that they will be the next Malcolm X. And this time, this Malcolm X ain't going to be screwing around. I mean, I know the OG Malcolm X wasn't screwing around, but I'm just saying, like, they're going to be a whole lot more radical than him. Okay, so the next story is Amy Coney Barrett has officially been nominated to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. And here's the thing. Even though she was 100%, like, everybody was thinking, like, I guarantee you that when Brett Kavanaugh was nominated, she was sitting there being like, I mean, I'm right here in case you guys want to nominate someone with no rape allegations. But I mean, it turns out Amy Coney Barrett is, I mean, this shouldn't have been a surprise. Amy Coney Barrett is literally the if she were not a woman, I mean, even she is a woman, and she's not getting away with the rhetoric she's been saying. But if she was not a woman, people would openly hate, like, they'd hate her, like, openly a whole lot more. Like, she is literally the, like, she's, of course, like, she's an originalist, which means literally anything that's not in the Constitution is wrong. All the amendments, wrong. OG Constitution is the way it is. The ones that let black people be slaves, so. But here's the thing, I don't really give a shit about it, right? Like, Amy Coney Barrett, I don't know. If Democrats, the worst thing that's happening is, like, Democrats, they're apparently going to be spineless again. They've literally opened the stage like, look, buddy, there's nothing we can do to stop her. And then people are like, oh, actually, yes, there is a way to stop her. And they're like, shh, don't tell anybody. And it's just dumb. Like, seriously, Democrats, grow a backbone. Grow a backbone. Like, the House has been trying to get more active into this, but the Senate is literally just like, I mean, there's nothing much we can do at this point. But yeah, anyways, let's just move on, because honestly, like, I mean, obviously, things are getting bleak. So let's have some fun and talk about the smaller candidate of the day. There's LaFonte Speed from Vermont, who's running for president. He is an independent third-party voice to represent we the people. Okay, what's his platform? He says, tired of $1 billion campaigns. So, like, almost every third-party candidate, they're trying to be like, oh, I'm running against the oligarchy. The most prominent guys are, like, the rich and powerful, and I'm not. Okay, he's a one-man operation and is self-funded, and he's a candidate of the working class, against outside influence. I can't really find much of a platform here. So now that that's out of the way, now let's move into the main topic of this video. The one thing that is the probably worst part of the video. I'm going to be talking about something that just not cool. I mean, not even not cool, but like something that's completely irrelevant anymore. Like, the reason I thought of this topic was just because, like, at the time, like, I mean, when I conceived the idea of, like, thoughts on as a series on my channel, you know, I just put a couple of, like, political pundits and, like, YouTubers on there and be like, I know something about these guys, or these guys are, like, big names that I can mooch off of. And we'll see what happens. And, like, this individual is an interesting one, because he comes from a trend of people who were really interesting. He kind of jumped weirdly into different ships. Okay, so this is an individual by the name of Mr. Dapperton, original name Anarchy Ball, because his original logo was just him stealing some person's Anarchy Ball thing with, like, those, like, you know those, like, balls that are like flags? You might have seen, like, one of these, like, rage comics of, like, you know, those, like, American flag, America ball, and, like, Europe ball. But they also do ones of, like, politics, so it's, like, this one was of the Anarcho-Capitalist flag, and he'd, like, do typical Anarcho-Capitalist things. But then he, like, turned it into, like, his YouTube series where he would, like, you know, give the libertarian style of, like, oh, I will debunk this thing. And then he, like, gave himself an official name after someone else, kind of. There was another person who was also using the name Anarchy Ball on, like, YouTube and stuff. Weird. I don't get it. But, like, he's from a trend that I was literally thinking about, like, just randomly one day, just, like, what happened to all those big libertarian channels? There was, like, this huge momentum of, like, huge libertarian channels in, like, I don't know, 2008, 9? Not 8. I mean, I guess they started in 2008. I mean, this guy, he started his YouTube channel in 2009. I guarantee you he was probably inspired by, like, Ron Paul. I don't even know. Does Mr. Dapperton have, like, a view on a Ron Paul? Let me check. won't be able to check, but for a reason I'll get into later. But, like, again, there was, like, a huge thing about, like, libertarian-based channels, and this guy, he was specifically an anarcho-capitalist. Like I said, he originally used, like, the Anarchy Ball logo, but then he, like, evolved to have, like, that Anarchy Ball be the head of a Rant Sona figure. Like, I mean, I remember these, like, big Rant Sona figures, and a lot of them became, like, weird ANCAPs. I don't know why. Like, literally, they're, like, these, and, like, I remember looking at these memes, like, I'm gonna get to that I'm gonna get to a little something in a second, but, like, he, like, had this, like, series where he would, like, make these, like, videos called Libertoons, where he would join up with the Rant Sonas of, like, his friends, like, Shane Killian, Esoteric Entity, who was literally, I don't even get, like, Shane Killian, he was, like, this weird fat guy, and he got, like, this cool dead spaceman, and, like, Esoteric Entity was a furry, so he was, like, he got, like, this furry spaceman robot thing. And Mr. Dapperton, he's, like, rich, powerful. He's got, like, this dapper suit, hat, and monocle. Pretty cool looking, I guess. I mean, he also came, like, he was really edgy and, like, trying to be, like, I'm cool. Because I remember, like, he had this theme song. I remember this theme song, like, almost word for word. Like, it's like, when Nazis and commies come into play, Mr. Dapperton comes in the fray, crushing these cowards every day. This way of thinking is a disease. The defender of like serious. You got this animated video where it was like him beating up like communist Nazis and Antifa. Like, it was it was hilarious. He didn't make that one. I don't even think he made the models for his thing. I think he, like, paid someone else to do it, but, I mean, that's fine. He can do that. I mean, he's an anarcho-capitalist, so it's like, you know, give money to people who can do things you can't do. It's too bad he couldn't give money to people to make quality videos. Ha-ha! Granted, I can't pay people to do that either. I will be fair, and it's, I mean, and you might say, well, I mean, how would you know anything about Mr. Dapperton and, like, his videos? I watched his videos. So half of it was, like, sometimes he'd say a point, and it's like, I guess that makes sense. But, I mean, he also, like, make dumb points. It's like, I mean, might as well see what the opposition's up to. I mean, let's just see him. Let's see him just tackle his ideas. Let's everybody spread their ideas however they seem fit. But, I mean, like you said, and this is the thing with pretty much all these libertarian channels, including, like, ones like Freedom Tunes and, like, others such that they seemed cool at first, because, I mean, like I said, you see that video, he's like, when Nazis and commies come in the fray, it makes you think, oh, he'll tackle everybody equally. He'll go against Republicans easily, he'll go against Democrats easily, he'll go against, like, leftists, rightists, because he's fair and balanced. No. He's not. Because pretty soon afterwards, it was pretty clear which direction the internet wanted to go. They wanted extremely anti-SJW things, ergo, he got anti-SJW things. Transformed his entire YouTube channel to pretty much be just anti-SJW stuff. But of course, you know, coming at it from the specifically anarcho-capitalist leaning, because, as we all know, anarcho-capitalism is, like, completely legitimate political ideology, 100%. It's literally, like, the furthest remove of all the other anarchists ever. Literally, anarchists don't even consider anarcho-capitalism, like, actual anarchism, because anarchism was born out of the left. Anarcho-capitalism is not. But, I mean, like I said, he's free to do whatever he wants. But I'm also free to poke fun at him and ridicule him and all this jazz. Though, to be fair, he has actually tried to expand more so than just these, like, making the random cringy things. Like, for example, I mean, like I said, he tried to branch out to do other videos. I saw, like, a couple of Libertoons when they were coming out at the time, and I was like, I mean, I don't even think I've watched all of it, I just saw some of it, but was like, I mean, it's fine, he could do it. Like, again, he could do things that are entertaining, I guess. And, like, he also, like, tried to literally form a political ideology, because that always works on the internet. Whenever the internet forms a political ideology, that works 100%. I mean, let's look at all the successes. The Liberalists made by Sargon of Akkad, that failed immediately. There's this stupid pro-unity ticket that Brett Weinstein's trying to form with, like, Tulsi Gabbard and Dan Crenshaw, which is like, who are you unifying? Losers? Because they will stink. But he actually did try to make a sort of new ideology within anarcho-capitalism, vocapism, voting capitalist, or voluntary capitalist, because there's also like this weird overlap of like voluntarists, and like he basically, the idea is like if there's like a so-called radical socialist candidate with Bernie versus Donald Trump, you must vote for Donald Trump in order to stop the radical socialist Bernie. I guess that technically makes sense, but then you'd also be voting for like it goes against anarcho-capitalist supposed political beliefs, but then again, he's a libertarian, so, you know, it's a common thing for libertarians. They go back on their political beliefs, because inevitably, they don't have any. Like, seriously, that is 100% true. Whenever you give push to shove on, like, libertarians on their ideology, a lot of times they'll bend the knee. Not all of them, obviously, but quite a few of them. And I mean, you can sum this up 100% with the recent protests. Why do they hate Black Lives Matter? Why do they hate Antifa? These people should be on their list. They should be like, oh my goodness, yes. They should be 100% happy about these people, because it's literally people rising up against the government, protesting government authority. You should be 100% happy about this. But no, they don't. They don't like them because, oh, they're Marxists. And it's hilarious because, like, literally Antifa, they hate Antifa when technically, shouldn't anarcho-capitalism be the opposite of fascism? Shouldn't it be at least on the side of, like, anti-fascism? Like, on the libertarian left wing and, like the political compass, shouldn't it be, like, on the other side of fascism, on the libertarian line? But no, many people who are libertarians, especially the ones on the internet, they hate Antifa, they hate the BLM protests, they, like, despise them, and openly align themselves with the conservatives who do everything in their power to, like, stop them. And, like, here's the thing, like, he made a video about Chaz, or Chop, and it's like, you should be on board with this. These are people that are, like, forming their own autonomous zone that doesn't listen to the federal government. Should you not be thrilled about this? Isn't this, like, what localism people like Adam Kokesh really like? But no, they don't care, because it's the lefties doing it, even though they technically say that's one of the reasons why they like this kind of stuff. Because they're like, oh, if the left-wingers want to form a sort of group place of their own over there, I 100% be supportive of it. Just as long as they don't force me to do it. But yet, there are people doing that, and he's like, oh no, they're bad, it's nasty, yucky, ew. Because again, they do not have a set political ideology, especially considering, he literally just put his whole idea, like, he changed his idea to be like anti-SJWs, anti-leftists, even when they agree with you on things you're supposedly supposed to be for, but, you know, you have to be against them because it's not where the money is. But here's the interesting thing about Mr. Dapperton. It seems Mr. Dapperton, for, like, quite a few things, like, I mean, reportedly a lot of his videos were getting taken down, and, like, he was getting demonetized, you know, because for many reasons, either wrongly or rightly, in some instances, I don't know the specifics, some of his videos were getting like flagged as like hate speech and like, anarcho-capitalism. It's not exactly the thing that YouTube puts at the forefront of their page. So it seems that he literally tried to turn his page into something completely different. Because he like changed his like YouTube, like he deleted all of his Ancap videos and they started making like these random stupid videos, like a movie review, a VR game simulator, the truth of Arcade Up, and like Orbeez. But then he went back to making his videos, albeit without the Mr. Dapperton character, because I think that ship has sailed and the Ransom career is pretty much done. But I don't know, maybe he'll bring Mr. Dapperton back. And that's pretty much all I'm gonna say on him, TBH. He's just sort of this era of a weird time in YouTube where libertarianism roamed free. Now it's not. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when the future video when it comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, join my Discord, or check out my articles in the Independent Political Report.